Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to the review crew. Monday nights on the centre bounce, just talking Supercoach, talking football, talking life. Kai, how you doing? As I sneakily post our stream up on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm doing well. I don't know if you saw the post I made maybe Sunday night about the round that I had, but I don't think I've seen a green arrow of 80-something thousand. Let's put it like that.
Yep.
In a round rank.
Well, there you go. Right. It's a funny thing when that comes along and that happens, and it's like, hey, slowly catching up. Unfortunately, I think you've left it a little bit too late to break into the top 100, but we'll see what's happening. And looking a little bit fresh today, Kai, which is nice to see.
Yep.
There you go.
Man.
Lots to talk about this week. Wait for my team review to come out. But, mate, rookies this week, Kai, outscoring primos across the board. I mean, everyone will talk about McCarthy and how good he is. There's a few people posting, hey, Captain Flash is asking him McCarthy D6 for the rest of the year. But if not McCarthy, I mean, we had guys like Diwa. We had guys like Zach Johnson outscoring primos as well. Is there anyone else that you thought, hey, didn't think were going to go very well, but then went massive this week?
Carroll actually counted for me somehow. I don't know how. He was out. I was sort of like, it made up for Doherty having a stinker, which, it is what it is with that pick, but hopefully he turns it around. But
yeah, definitely.
Carroll held his spot, I guess, and did really well, and that's the cash gen I kind of needed, to be honest with you.
I don't know if you saw, I posted up on Twitter, I think this morning or yesterday, basically just asking the Carlton fans, hey, is Carroll going to hold his spot? I mean, the guy's been playing well. I think he was unlucky last time to get subbed out, but obviously didn't. They had an injury early, so you don't kind of know what would have happened anyway. Unfortunately, I forgot that Campbell Gray had the bye, and I did a boo-boo, and we'll talk about it in the team review, but ended up having to play Clark. So his 20-odd didn't work for my score. And Carroll was slowly making points for myself on the bench, which really sucked. So
let's just say I'm glad that Clark,
not great.
Ended up, he was the emergency. Like I had, what was it, Clark, Johnson, and I want to say Pedler, emergencies on each line. And I was just like, oh, yeah. And I realized to my sort of anguish that, like, whenever they played about an hour before, being like, I can't loop here with Clark. So if he stuffs up, I'm basically stuck with Carroll. Oh, well, that works.
Oh, well. Those cheeky surprises in Supercoach that always seem to come around at the most opportune times. Yep. I think it's a weird one when that happens, but obviously it's worked out a little bit for us today. Hey lads, how you doing? 2105. There you go, Flash. You beat me by 50 points or something. So congratulations. Nice. Good placing there in AFLW. AFLW in AFL Fantasy. Hey boys, fillet of fish. Hope you're doing well. Hey lads, great as Tom's debut as it was. Really shows again. Yeah, and that's the issue. Mid-season draft is fantastic. Mid-season draft is the greatest thing ever in Supercoach, but when it kind of exposes your team a little bit, like I think it has this year with West Coast, it's not great. He was basically the highest-rated player on the field for West Coast, and it feels bad for the fans. I mean, it was a thrashing. No one expected much else. Carlton definitely let off the gun towards the end, which a lot of Blues fans are not happy with because it affects the team, affects the average, but also mentality is not great for it either.
Yep.
Yeah, long way to go. Hopefully you guys can steal some. There's quite a few good, cheap, say midfielders and whatnot that are available this year. Will Phillips and a few others. So you should be able to poach some of those this year and hopefully do well. So this goes live and you post. Yeah, mate. I should have changed Joe's video time and got a few more people watching, but it is what it is. It's happened, and we move on. There you go. 2047 this week. Crazy to be contemplating trading Max Gawn. Kai, are we trading Max Gawn? I know my answer, but what do you reckon?
I have sort of looked at it and then I looked at it a lot last week. I know that you would have done the same. And there's 140k to TDK, because that's sort of the one that I'm looking at even after the after the matchup. And I'm pretty sure Darcy Cameron's around the same price anyway. Maybe a little bit cheaper. But yeah, those are the sort of two that you'd be looking at. That gives you 140k. But then the problem for me is like, I'm still trying to get. I basically have locked in the Hewitt to Mills trade. It's like 5 or 10k that I need to sort of use Elijah to Mills. And then that sort of leaves me in this weird situation where I'd need like almost another 300k guy to get to anyone decent, I would feel like. So it's just, I feel like really awkward with my side, whereas other people, they could probably go Gawn and also like a really just dead rookie to a Mills and a Primo in the likes of a TDK.
Yeah. So was that a yes to trade him or a no to trade him? I think you kind of went a little bit off topic.
I would say in my situation a no, but I think in other situations, if they don't have that 300k guy, you can trade him and get one of your red dots out of there.
Yeah, definitely. That seems to be what I'm thinking for myself and my team. I'll post it in the team review, hopefully today after this, maybe. Gawn was the trade out this week, I think, for myself. I haven't done it yet, but we went not early, but we went on TDK. He ended up scoring all right, which is great for us. It was looking a little bit hairy there for points in the game. I think Flynn was comparable, which is not a great position to be in. But yeah, he ended up scoring okay, which is fantastic for us. And yeah, kind of cemented where the season is. So Max Gawn has been a massive stalwart for myself. Michael has been fantastic for a majority of the year. But look, here's some background noise from you, guy. Has been fantastic for you, for us for the year, but it's a bit rough when we need to cash out, and I think Cherry's too good to cash out. If it was the opposite way around, Cherry was the same price, Max Gawn was the same price, and we didn't have Max Gawn on a buy, there may be different talk. But the fact that anyone you bring in now, as long as they've already had their buy, is going to score you more points, I think it's a really good position to be in. So, yeah, we'll see. Max Gawn trade for myself. McCarthy, not D6, McCarthy flex. There you go. Would have been great to have on field. Heck, Carroll flex would have been great too. A few people had McKercher, who it didn't work out great. And Michael, buddy, wait for my team review because I'm in the exact same boat. Bontempelli, Smelly. I don't think we've had him this cheap, Kai. I would almost say people won't get him in. That's how bad it is. If the Dogs did not have the run coming up like they do, playing Richmond and then in a couple of weeks playing North, Bontempelli has been atrocious. A 66. The 101 wasn't great. The 107 versus Geelong wasn't great. And we haven't had the massive scores. And now he's 580k with a break even of 177. Now, he may get close to that versus Richmond and reset his cash gen and do all that kind of stuff. But if I could go back in time, Kai, and say, hey, Big J, 3 weeks ago when you spent 640k on Bontempelli, just don't do it. Just get Butters at a little bit cheaper or get someone like a Connor Rosie or something. I think I'd be a lot happier. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I've been one that's sort of been against and gone anti-potting both Butters and Bont, and it's been definitely a tough watch given, like, you know, their power almost on paper. But I feel like I've gotten away with it, and I was definitely looking at it this week as well with, I think it was like Rankin or whatever, like a three player trade to get up to someone, and I feel like I think I fall short of Butters by like 10k, and I'm just like, do I have to almost risk it again? And it's just like, I know that he's going to go 140, 150 sometime soon, but I just hope that Sydney can find a way through someone in that midfield stopping Butters. And then obviously I think it's James Jordan will probably put a tag on Rosie as well. So I think there's a chance that we see another double tag, because I'm pretty sure Melbourne did the same on the weekend as well.
Well, I think that's the only way that Sydney, unfortunately, Kai, I think that's the only way Sydney have a chance against Port Adelaide really is, hey, can we try and nullify as much of that opposition midfield as we can and then play our players against yours? Unfortunately, the big horny Francis has now gone in for scans, so we'll wait and see what happens with that. But, mate, he was another one that kind of stuffed people around, and then you still had him, right? So you got the good score, and then the rest of us not so much. I think you're muted.
Yeah, I did have Horn Francis, which was really good to have until I saw in the third or fourth quarter that he'd had the injury icon, and I went, well, that's just sums up Horn Francis this year, doesn't it?
Yeah. Unlucky. But, still myself and quite a few other people are bringing him in. I think this week a lot of people are going to have 22 primos. I've definitely seen some really good 23 primo teams, plus McCarthy and a few others. A lot of people still running the triple ruck. Unfortunately, I can't. Michael was saying here too, trade Gawn allows me to get Rosie and Nat as well. That's the case, mate. Go and do it. G'day, Velo. G'day, guys. How's your weekend? Weekend was good. Very happy. Carlton are useless after quarter time. Every single week, it's the same crap. Well, mate, you're playing North this week, so hopefully you can be useless again. And then, hey, presto, we can get a win against you guys. And did you catch the Harry Mackay in talks with Sydney trade talk news, which is very interesting at the moment? 21-34 for Big Velo here. Looking at E. Hewitt and Brock for Horn Francis and Archer May, as May need a cheap playing forward. Yeah, Dewar would have been great. I don't know about many others. We're hearing Young might play for Carlton as well. Did quite well in the VFL on the weekend, so we'll see what happens for him. Maybe a cheap player to get. Hey, fellas, thought on Myercheck and Geordie Artis. Are we talking because we need a cheap player? Let's be honest. G-Bags, how much money do you have for a cheap player in the forward line? Because I would pick neither. I would pick neither. Velo didn't show up for the first 40 minutes. Blues were average. There you go. Kai, thoughts on Sarong, Rao, Steele, Crisp as trade-in options? Which ones would you pick? And give me like a ranking if you had to do a ranking.
Oh, I'd probably put Chris is still going to play, but I'm like, he's getting older and stuff like that. And I think there's the tendency of all the other guys around him to sort of take points off him when they are actually playing. Steele, I just don't know if he's in even that good of form at the moment. Like St. Kilda's midfield just looks so whack. Rao probably wants an interstate move at this point. He looks in it one game, out of it the next. Sarong is a guy that I think has the history alongside has had a good 4-week patch, I would think it is. I think he's gone 100 and then in 3 consecutive weeks and then had that big 140 or whatever it was on the weekend. So I'd say he's probably the top guy. And then you'd have, I would think, I'd almost put it in that order, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I would probably say the same thing as well. Crisp, the player has never really come into my mind, really. One that I would probably throw in there as well, G-Bags, if you don't have him, is a sneaky George Hewitt, who's kind of around the same price, but plays North, plays Richmond, is doing very, very well, average of 115. The 3-round average isn't great, but I think that's a bit of a Carlton thing, and we saw a little bit last week with no Walsh in the team. I mean, if we look at his scoring, right, round 1 versus Richmond a 94, and then versus GWS a 64, and then that's it. So George Hewitt may be the one that I would say, hey, bit of a left field option. I don't know if you own him already, but maybe one that you have a look at. And probably I'm going to hope to do a trade-in target video this week, navigating round 16 and whatnot and some good plays to bring in. George Hewitt is definitely one of those because he will go big against North. Unless we get the win, which would be crazy for us. And then he's got a few easier matchups coming up as well. So, yeah, could be a sneaky option there. Chera fights for his points. Hewitt gets gifted them. So, kind of how it works. Sick of it. Voss doesn't even see it as a problem. There you go. Will Voss survive? Not sure. Frankie, hope you're doing well, Frankie. 20.59 this week. Gawn and Brock for Mills and Darcy. Nice. We'll get Keys and McCarthy. That should give me 23 primos, sort of. Yeah, it's we're in a bind, and a lot of us don't have cash gen. Matt Carroll is the first player outside of Kako Kai that I've had getting 200k on my bench, which is insane. So nice hold. I've held him for way too long. I almost traded him this week instead of Sard because I was like, yeah, that extra 20k might come in handy. Well, it worked out all right. So there you go. Ben Keys is really... Do you like Ben Keys, Kai?
I remember, it wasn't last year, the year before, he had a 6 to 8 week run in the midfield. Yeah. And so there's always been that sort of potential for him to go back in there, even though he is a pressure forward, just because their midfield can be very awfully slow. But as a half forward, he's sort of that odd one like we had with Bolton, I think 4 or 5 weeks ago as well, where they hit a patch of form and you're like, oh, they're going to be absolutely like F5, F6. And then they hit like this bad patch of form and you're like, they're not even anywhere close. So Keys, I'm just trying to quickly look at his sort of prior games because I know his last sort of 3 have been really, really good. And then he did have an 8 in there. But if you take that 8 out, that's still, 13 games or so 13 or 12 games at about 90, 95. So I don't know. I think he's just in a really good run of 4-game patch there. And then, he's got a 94, 46, 62, 94, 62, 72 up in the prior games to that outside of the injury game. So I could see him basically going goalless and then suddenly you're looking at a guy scoring back-to-back 70s or something.
The problem with Keys as well is just the fixturing, Kai. Not sure if you know, but who does Adelaide play in round 16? It's one yellow and black Tigerland, and you know how players like to go massive against them. So we're going to get the, oh shit, why didn't we pick Ben Keys 3 weeks ago at what, sub 400k? Didn't pick him up last week. Didn't pick him up versus Brisbane. And then we didn't get him against Richmond. So I always say the second half of the season is all about fixturing. Doesn't matter, good players, bad players, how good they are, whatever's happening in a team. Whoever beats up on the shitty teams that week is probably the best player to bring in. And Frankie, Keys versus Richmond. Let's have at it. So very, very nice there. See him in trouble. There you go. Looked at Jenna, Mazza, or Myers. Charles, hope you're doing well, mate. Hope you're doing well. Nice to see you on the stream. Dakota, do you think that Ned Long has done his job and move him on or keep him for the rest of the year? Kai, we're keeping Ned Long. What's happening?
If you were going to trade Ned Long, you would have done it last week, surely, on his buy, because you've had to sink that, I guess, the points there. And I just think that if you're going to have, I think he's around the same price as like a Rankin, I think, or roughly about the same price, maybe even more expensive. So you got guys like that where you can just trade Rankin, who's got 1 less game, and you're looking at potentially saving yourself 30, 40 points in itself. So just by trading Rankin over Long. I'd be trading someone that's on the buy this week over Long at the moment.
Yeah, unfortunately, I did a stupid thing and traded Josh Dacos the week where he won the medal, fight M&D. But yeah, same kind of philosophy. Hey, he's got a buy coming up. I think you're stuck a little bit, Dakota, to keeping Ned Long, unfortunately. If he goes big, cool. If it doesn't go big, cool. But seems to me to be, I'm going to say a worse Caldwell, Kai, but in the similar realm where he's getting a lot of ball and, hey, he's definitely getting very, very close, if not to 100 every single week. The break-even's a little bit scary. The price is okay. Look, if your team's in a position where you can trade him and you can get a Hewitt, you can grab a Sarong or something like that for 60k and if that's your last upgrade, cool, go and do it. But don't trade him purely for the fact that that's what it is. And, you do play West Coast in 2 weeks, and I feel like he's going to have a good round. So, yeah. Thinking Gawn to Jackson, I love the Jackson. I think Sean Darcy's in a little bit of trouble. A lot of us has got TDK, though, but if you got Jackson, could work out. If Horn Francis is out, which under 500k forward would you look at? Darcy, Daniel, McRae, or Bolton?
Darcy, that's easy.
Yeah.
That's so easy. I own the other 3, and it wasn't fun owning the other 3.
There you go.
And I've got Darcy in trade plans this week, put it that way.
Okay, that's a bit cheeky. I mean, he does play Richmond. The doggies matchup's just too good. We have a quick look at the doggies matchups.
I mean, he is the second tallest active player in the league, and he's playing forward.
And Mason Cox isn't really active, is he?
Yeah, so he's the same height as Max Gawn. He's kind of just a cheat code, basically. So yeah.
If we have a sneaky look,
tell me they're playing under the roof. If they're playing under the roof, that's going to be He doesn't even have to contend with the wet for like 6 weeks, doesn't he?
Nah. So I don't know why he's just never played Brisbane before. Okay, fair enough. Richmond this week should go massive. Probably gets a 120. You would hope. Sydney the week after. How do you reckon he goes against Sydney, Kai?
He's probably going to score 3 or 4 on us, to be honest with you, just because the tools that they've got there. Yeah, that's going to be bad.
Versus Sydney, we don't really have tall defenders, at least no one who can stop him. So there you go. Adelaide is probably the toughest one, and then Brisbane as well. So look, if you can keep Sam Darcy all the way to Essendon, you're doing very, very well. So, yeah, he's one to definitely look at. If I had to rate that in order, it would go Darcy, probably Bolton next. Bolton has done okay, even though he was not best 22 for me this week. Unfortunately, I think he just missed the cut. And then, Darcy, Bolton is okay. McRae, Daniel. So you could go Darcy, McRae. It more just depends on fixture and whatnot. So, yeah, a bit tricky here. Considering trading Rankin. Yeah, Rankin, mate, he has had a shocking run. I don't think people talk about it enough, Kai, but Rankin has been atrocious. The only thing with Rankin
he's just got stuffed over.
An initiator, in 2 weeks, who does Rankin play?
Let me guess, Richmond?
Richmond. You don't want to be the guy. Legit. It is like playing West Coast. North Melbourne, I think, have got a little bit better. Our percentage is actually, I think it's actually better than Essendon's at the moment. So we've just lost like the last 5 or 6 games, sub 15 points, which isn't great. But Rankin versus Richmond is really tough. It's going to be sucky not to have him in that week. So trade him if you want. A lot of people are just saying forego the forward line. And if you've got a primo in there that can somehow score close to 100 every week, you're great. I think, as you were saying, Kai, he kind of got shafted a little bit in the last game, right? Do you have the stats there? Maybe we can pull them up.
The thing about him is that at the moment, the problem with they've got Sam Berry in that midfield, and it's stuffing their midfield up. Let's just see. I can actually grab it up here. 1 second.
23. Keep going up. Up.
Rankin.
Yep.
There we go. And then he had, where is it? Is it the CBA should be on here, I would think. Is it baseline stat? Where is it? They have like everything on here, I swear.
Maybe the one before this one. Base stats.
Maybe I've just missed it.
Disposal efficiency, time on ground,
CBA 7. 7 there. 7, so and there was 15 CBAs. So he still had 45%, but it just looked, I mean, if he could also finish his actual like kicks and stuff like that, then it would be better. But like he he's just getting crowded out of that midfield. It feels like let's just do where's Berry here? Let's just do Berry 13 CBAs. There it is. There's the CBAs that are going from the likes of a Rankin and basically just going straight to Berry. Yeah, he was kind of better with Matt Crouch in there because Matt Crouch can actually handball it to him, whereas Berry just slams it on the boot.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of the case as well. Hey, and then feels like a little bit from myself, maybe the likes of a Rochelle kind of stolen a few CBAs, or hey, let's put Rankin in front, or if not that, like they kind of play a similar role. So Rankin, hey, let's put you on the bench a little bit more, and then have Rochelle go big. So I don't think he's kicked a goal in a while too. I mean, he kicked 1-1, but not his massive run like we've seen before. So yeah, it's look, I would be very, very fearful of trading him versus Richmond, and Berry, Peatling, and Cumming have hurt Rankin a little bit. There you go. So yeah, a few other players going big. What would be Rankin's ball is probably now Ben Keys's ball. So yeah, it's a bit rough. There you go.
Yep.
Spoonie 57 had McCarthy on bench. Look, Charles, I had Carroll on bench as well. So I definitely feel your pain. How are you going to know that a first game debutant for West Coast is going to come out, take kick-ins, Kai? The boy took kick-ins, which is phenomenal, and would pop out a 135. So how are you going to know? How are you going to know? At least you got him. You got him now. A lot of us have to bring him in next week. So yeah, it's a bit rough. Keys versus Richmond, last three. Mate, this is the new Keys, not the old Keys, so we'll see. Just one trade this week, Trainer to Ralston this week, I think, gents. Ralston, what do you think of Ralston, Kai? He's not someone that I have really thought about much, but is definitely on the buy, -12 break.
He could actually... The problem with him is just the buys that like GWS have, and I just feel like he's going to be the odds because they have round 16, don't they?
Next week.
They have round 16, so he's going to get the one price rise. He's probably going to have a break even of around 0. Then he's got the buy, and then there's a very good chance that he could potentially lose his role. Like I don't know who exactly is out, etc. for GWS, but you would, because he's not just taking... Where is he at? He had 63% CBAs on the weekend. And that pretty much lines up with Bedford having 0. So I don't expect Bedford to have 0 again. I expect him to come back into that role. And then it also saw I guess just the Brett Daniels being subbed out as well, I think definitely massively helped him. Because Brett Daniels in basically a quarter had 16% CBAs. So, yeah, I could easily see that Ralston just gets stuffed around with Toby Green, with Brett Daniels being here or there with injuries post-bye. And so that's why I wouldn't go, even though he's in that really, really good role as an inside mid. And I think he is a really, really good player. It's just I don't think it matches up with the timeline.
Yeah, it's kind of why I haven't gone early on McCarthy. It's why there's a few of these other type of players too. Round 16 is crazy. If you've got someone else who you can get in, James, that might just do better for you. If you've got no dead rookies on the bench, then cool, round 16 is the way to go. Make it happen. But yeah, for a lot of us, we're going to be struggling. I think with this week's proposed trades, I may have enough for round 16, but I think I have 6 primos out this week. So, I mean, for next week. So it's really rough, really, really bad. So, it's not too bad, but it's not great. Got a couple of Callum Mills questions, Kai. So get your brain in that kind of feeling.
I was I was looking at this when I was just about to finishing up work and on the bus home about that.
Jackson VC into Cherry C as per Optimizer's suggestion. There you go. Fellows asking here, Kai, is Mills non-CBA last game an issue? He's probably the most traded in player If you didn't do it
No.
last week and he went massive like our one Supercoach Pro did, for 354k, everyone's got him in their team, including myself. Is it a problem? Do we need to be careful, or are we okay?
No, because I think he's just taking up the likes of Matty Roberts' role, and he has a better intercept mark than Matty Roberts. So I think if Matty Roberts was averaging 95 in that role, I think Callum Mills is going to average in the 100, low 100s in that role. Like I've even said to people that I expect Matty Roberts is going to come back this week alongside, it looks like, Goulden and Papley. I think that Matty Roberts goes onto the wing this week for Sydney and not actually into that halfback role.
Okay. Is that your prediction for this week? No Matt Roberts, no more kick-ins. Mills taking over.
Matt Roberts effectively takes over from Riley Bice, I think. Because I don't think they'll drop Jake Lloyd. Even though Jake Lloyd deserves to be dropped on performance, they won't drop him because of experience.
What's happening to our boy Riley Bice? Is he gone to the wayside?
He was on the wing last week or in round 13, and he did pretty well. But it's just that Sydney finally have Cunningham back, which basically takes up another spot, and they'd much rather actually let Blakey run loose than to have these sort of Riley Bices and Matty Roberts who aren't as quick as Blakey. Still quick, but not as quick. And that it's sort of, when you've got defenders like Wicks, Cunningham, Mills back there alongside Rampy, it's a very solid defensive unit and just allows that one big ball user in Blakey to run free.
There you go. Heard it here first, guys. Would love to make that into a clip and just talk about it. But
that's also because I think they're trying to get... Sheldrick's basically said to them, and this was about 3 or 4 weeks before, like basically when he gotten his first full game, if you give me full games, I will stay here. So I think they're trying to put Mills down back so that they can get games into Sheldrick, get him to sign long term as well. Because
so he's held them at ransom. Hi, is this a quotable quote I can now put on Twitter? Sheldrick holding Sydney at ransom. Mills going to take a backline position so Sheldrick gets all the points. Mate, if you had told me this, Kai, 4 weeks ago when Sheldrick was 160k, I would have been very inclined to bring in Sheldrick at 160k.
I was looking at that exact option as well.
He's now got
Stard played first and was non-sub, so I went that option.
Yeah, nah, fair. What defender is going to stop Darcy and his 4-meter leap, mate? Darcy is going to stop Darcy, and I think that's the only issue. He's going to be phenomenal for the next however long. There's going to be talks about should father-son get scrapped for the next however long as well. He's going to tear North, Richmond. The Doggies just have a really good run coming up as well, and there's not many that are going to stop him. It's more going to be him getting kind of arm chopped and things like that. But his running kick looks pretty good, Kai.
Yep. Yeah, he's going to go 105 the next 5 or 6, basically on an average. I would expect
him to go 105 for the rest of the year, Kai. I don't need 5 and 6. I need give me 10 lots of 105s, please. Give me 10. I think we can get something like that from a Horn Francis, maybe. But
he still has a 147 break even. You could almost just... It sucks because if Richmond was next week and Sydney was this week, you'd just be like, oh, that's perfect. He'll be like...
Exactly.
He'll be 440, 430k, etc. You could almost... Because you're going to have Darcy Moore... you're going to have Dylan Moore next week, sorry. That's going to be ultra cheap and basically there for the picking as well. So you're almost going to be deciding between those two next week. So it sucks that he's got the order almost wrong in a way, that you pretty much have to pick him now, even though you're going to cop a probably 10 to 15k cash loss. But I think over the next 2 to 3 weeks, he could easily average 120 for 2 to 3 weeks. And suddenly at the end of round 17, you're looking at a guy that's 520k or so. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's rough, man. The Doggies. It makes me rethink my ideas of getting Mills and Bailey Dale and a few other players this week because they're just looking so good. And I want to be one of those people that just says Dale's season as Dale goes big every week. I think the Mills pick spells trouble. Kai thinks different. Barry Peatling coming, have hurt ranking. We went through that one. Any safe rookies this week, Kai? If I can quickly pull up.
Do we have any rookies in general?
Let me quickly pull up my players. Sub 3
I think
matches.
the two good rookies are on the buy in Butler and McCarthy. So yeah, the only thing I'd say with that is because I've sort of looked at it, etc. I would say if McCarthy can get you that extra 20k to get you the upgrade, I'd do it, even though he's on the buy, just because he can sit there, etc. It's not really the biggest deal. You may burn like 10, 15 points, but then you'll gain that back with getting, say, I don't know, maybe a Hewitt over someone like 510, 505k. And it especially counts with like these sort of 470, 480k guys, because being able to pick the guy that's going to really jump, or the guy that's been injured in the past and is really low for some reason, that if you can get those extra cash to get up to that guy, rather than sort of, I think we had that almost discussion earlier about a guy trying to choose between sort of 380k guys, an F6 or something. Yeah, that extra 20k could be huge in that case.
Yeah, definitely. Just looking at the moment, Kai, it's crazy. Our highest break-even rookie, can you guess him this week?
It's still McCarthy with one game to go before he's on the bubble.
Still McCarthy with the negative 93
I saw
the
price projections with 90s, and I was like,
yep.
That's only 90s, and he's 270k after 2 price rises.
Yep. And he may end up being on my bench, which is hilarious. Who needs an F8? Who needs a flex? Who needs a defender when we've got Tom McCarthy? Looking at cheap options this week, Charles, Nick Madden may be one. Briggs looks good, but Madden actually fits well into the team. So maybe there's a time when they play both. It would have been great to start him. Zach Johnson still has a negative 63 break-even, which is phenomenal. I wish Clark had something similar. There's really not anyone, really.
No.
Like a few people,
all of the ones that are, they're either round 15 or round 16 guys, aren't they? Like even just looking at Jack Martin and
you took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say there is one that few people have been talking about in the forward line. If you didn't get on DY last week, unfortunately, he has jumped 52k this week, so kind of out of a lot of people's realms. But Jack Martin playing halfback, or playing at least in the Geelong team now. Finals push for them, which is what they want. They finally got him fit. Scored a 79 last week, and now has a negative 23 break even. So he might be the one if you want a forward playing rookie. Otherwise, there really isn't anyone. And this is the problem that we've got. Hopefully, Young comes in. Hopefully, there's a couple of others who may come in as well for a lot of these teams. But hey, Charles, it might not be the week this week to bring in a rookie. Might be Tom McCarthy. Might be upgrade the rest, and that's kind of where the maximum downgrade is actually viable. Yeah, Velo, round 16 bye. It's rough. Delina goes out instead of Harry, methinks. We'll see. Toby Green comes in, Delina out, passed the eye test for mine. High pick. There you go. My midfield this week is Sinclair, Brayshaw, Bont, Nando Butters, Chera, George Hewitt, and Merritt. Very, very happy. I may drop Zachy Merritt this week. We'll see. I need to get one less primo for round 16, and unfortunately, I dropped Zorko last week, Kai. It was not the right choice because I went Zorko to McKercher, like half the competition did, and copped a 60 and missed out on 60-odd points. So that was rough. But Zachy Merritt was the next one in my plans to go. So he may be gone just purely on buy, and I think Caldwell's better. So, yeah, very, very happy with that midfield fellow. You reckon McInerney will go back to his wing role and then Bice dropped once Mills this week?
Yep. The Swans always carry, and I think most teams do this. They carry 3 wingers. Sydney's wingers, I would suspect, are going to be McInerney, Goulden, and also Roberts, because Roberts has, if you remember last year, and he's also done it once this year, played on the wing, and that's why almost in pre-season we were discounting those scores because we thought he'd play off halfback. But now Mills has gone into that sort of halfback role and is just a lot better, a lot calmer with his disposal, I would say, than Matty Roberts.
Yep. There you go. Guys, if you haven't already, please like the stream, Sub to the channel if you haven't already. We'll be here for the next 50-odd minutes, probably finish up at 8:30. So get your comments in, keep engaging. Otherwise, it might be an hour-long stream, Kai. We'll see how we go. DR is also on if you guys want to jump on and see him afterwards. So, yeah, been a lot of fun. Doc Mills Kirch in the same team too much. Oh, it feels risky. It feels risky. I feel bad having McKercher and Mills at D5, D6. Slightly regretting the McKercher. He does have a 2-round average of just over 100, which is great. But, yeah, the thing with McKercher is the role was there.
Yeah.
The disposal efficiency and everything else just wasn't. So,
yeah,
he gets a pass
hopefully
this week.
What's he? 390?
And he will be building into the role.
410. Oh, he's a little bit. He's still got a 36 break even, so still gettable. I would feel for people because the role's definitely there. He just butchered the ball like there was no tomorrow. He still had 27 touches. Like if you look at, he only had more than 27 touches once this year, and that game was the 140 odd. The other games that he had less touches against Richmond for a 129. And then also has scored 80, 90s before off less. So yeah, and then we also saw last year him do pretty well as well on some games where he's had I'm just looking here. He's scored hundreds off less touches than what he had on the weekend. So I wouldn't be too worried about it with him. And I just have a feeling that he'll bounce back in the long run. He just couldn't kick to save himself.
Kai, does Ben Patton ever come back? Is he cooked?
No.
He's done?
Because Ben Patton's
I feel
now
bad.
got Ben Patton's now got potentially even Riley Bice, Ollie Florent, and also like almost Caleb Mitchell in front of him. Because Sydney's starting to get all their players back.
Yep.
So yeah.
Okay. Not fair. Yeah, I think it's okay. Doherty looks a bit sketch, but the other two I think will be fine. Madden, the only rookie, but Briggs back soon. I think Jack Martin as well. Probably be worth having just a wait and see what happens with debutants too. I think, as I said, Carlton may have someone coming up. If you don't have Zach Johnson, he is very, very good too. Could you hold Merritt 1 week, Big J, as Freo won't tag? Look, I probably can. I am playing around with some trade options and some ideas and things like that at the moment. It's just that Merritt allows me to grab someone like a Bailey Dale or grab a Sam Darcy or grab someone else. Merritt's going to tank further in cash. I don't think he's going to get the 129. There's no force. Like, I'm not forced to get McCarthy this week due to him having the bye. The cash I do get from a McCarthy downgrade probably will get me very, very close to being able to afford another player, hopefully. We'll see. So it feels like the right time is probably the thing. There's a lot of players around that price tag. If not grabbing a forward, maybe we'll go and grab like a George Hewitt, who's got a good run and things like that as well. So there's lots of thinking, Velo, but we'll see what happens. I think North will beat us this week. And yeah, heard the Sydney McKay chat. Doubt they could meet our asking price, mate. We talked a lot about Grundy never leaving and going to Sydney, but that happened. A few other players as well. Trelaw never happened. And then, hey, look, it happened the day of. So if Carlton wants some draft picks, Kai, predictions, does he leave at the end of the year? Yes or no?
I think Sydney are looking into both Jamara and Mackay, and I probably heard this back maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's been quite a while. Like, Sydney's also had conversations with Matt Rowell, which seems just sort of what's the point? But those were the main 3 that they were sort of had big conversations with. I think they'll get one of them. I just don't think, and this is also a thing about sort of just how fans in a lot of sports work when they've got sort of their own team sort of asking price, etc. for a player. I don't think the asking price for Mackay would be that much, considering what's he played 7 games this year or so, 6 or 7 games. He's also turning 30. He's had injury issues as well as mental health problems as well.
Surely not.
He's 28, I want to say, turning 29.
Yeah, 27.
Maybe.
27.
Oh,
so he'll be
it's a couple more
28
years left.
next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not as bad as I thought. But yeah, I just think that even it would be for Mackay, I feel like it would probably be two very, very late futures. Like it would be maybe even a future, like the 2 future years or whatever first, if you were to say 2 future first. But I have a feeling it would be probably a future first and a second or something for him, which wouldn't be too bad. So yeah, I have a feeling Sydney end up with Mackay, I think.
Yeah. It's Velo's saying here you'd ask for 2 firsts. I think I'm in a similar position. The problem with Velo, the problem with
His
big contracts is that they offer a lot of money. We've just seen it now.
Basically stuff you over and say, no, we don't want to get you. And then you lose TDK because you can't actually meet his asking price.
Yep. Or Sammy Walsh now leaves because you can't give him a good contract and someone's offering him, 900K or whatever it is. The problem with big contracts is you've got half your club on them at the moment, Velo, and something needs to change with that forward line. It's not working out. If the forward line was perfect, if you had the 1-2 punch and then it was just fantastic, then cool. No worries. I don't think there would be an issue. But it does feel like maybe something needs to change a little bit. And if Harry Mackay can unlock a good player for you, or allow you to keep the players you want without losing others.
Yeah. But can I also just point out that you're basically asking more than what Richmond got for Bolton when Harry Mackay is 3 years older on a worse contract and has other stuff like going on. So that when you start to compare it to that and you say he's worth 1.5 firsts almost in a way, it starts to sort of line up with what history has sort of said with, because I think even you would be asking more than like what GWS got for like Jeremy Cameron or something. That's like the areas that you're looking at.
Carlton fans, bro. Yeah. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it's a little bit rough. We'll see what happens by the end of the year. What's your thoughts on the Hawks rookies, Sam Butler and Max Ramsden? Both are options to get in. Yeah, we have a question mark about Harry Hustwaite as well, and is Hustwaite a trade? Hustwaite's a bit rough, Jay.
I swear I said that as well, that was going to happen with him. The midfield just does not too samey. That midfield is too many like 190 centimeter slow, bulky midfielders in there. And then add in even Jai Newcomb, the way he plays is almost like that, and he's 180 something. So there's just no speed in that midfield.
Do really well for them. Like they've really struggled without Will Day in the team.
Oh yeah, Will Day gives them the pace. That's why I'm like, why is Adelaide? Somehow they lost to they beat Adelaide in the end, but they got smacked in the midfield with Adelaide basically not having Rankin or Rochelle in the midfield at all. Like they were slow as well. It was two just absolute slow slogfest midfields, and no wonder the scoring was so bad.
Yeah, it's Will Phillips or a few of his type would be fantastic for Hawthorn. I think it offers them something a little bit different. I think Hustwaite does not play again, Jay, and unfortunately he's got a 72 break even. So offload him. The only reason why you would keep him is just because he's a warm body at this point. He may get you a 40 if you're very, very lucky. So, yeah, I would not get Harry Hustwaite. I would offload him as much as you can. Him down to McCarthy still gets you close to 80K. So, like, it kind of works there. Sorry, what's your thoughts on the Hawks rookies, Sam Butler and Max Ramsden? I think Ramsden is nice. Seems like Meek has faltered a little bit over the last couple of weeks, Kai. So maybe they're giving him a bit of a boost, which is nice. His level of scoring and stuff's been okay. Might just need the double up, which is kind of where Ramsden comes in. Sam Butler, thoughts, Kai?
He's on the bye. I think you can wait a week. I would rather And this is what I was saying with McCarthy. I'd rather McCarthy than the likes of Butler this week, because you're saving 25k, give or take, 22, something like that. And that 22k is absolutely just huge in terms of being able to get an upgrade, like getting a sizable upgrade.
Yeah, no, I think so as well. No deal, Kai. No way we keep TDK as he's knocking back 1.7. Look, if you guys offer him 1.5 or 1.3 and he says cool, he might do that. He may not go to St. I mean, who's going to go to St Kilda, unfortunately? They're almost as bad of a rabble as Carlton at the moment. So, yeah, St Kilda's in the toilet. Would rather keep Harry over Charlie. Ooh, that's a big call, Kai. Would rather keep Harry over Charlie. I assume you mean Charlie Curnow, fellow.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, because Charlie Curnow, hasn't he kicked like 60 in the last like 4 years or something like that?
Yep.
Hasn't he? Something like.
I think he's just the better player.
Charlie Curnow, I swear, in the last almost 4 years, has kicked almost more goals than Harry Mackay in his career. That's how much more he's kicked. Like, Harry Mackay is just not kicked too many. Like, even this year, 7 games compared to even this year, Charlie Curnow's kicked 27 goals. Harry Mackay's kicked 9 in 7 games compared to Charlie Curnow's 12. There's a big difference there.
Yeah. No, I would not keep Mackay. I think Mackay, not that he's been pushed out, but I think Mackay's kind of what Mackay does, Lewis Young does. Maybe not as good, but Lewis Young does. And I think it's more just a tall body. I don't think he's had that marking. Maybe it's the knees. But, I think it's just been a bit rough for him. So, yeah, not great. Not great. I would go, if you say, hey, which one would you have? Here's a first-round pick, Charlie.
You're taking Charlie every day of the week. Like 100%. The best goal year that Harry Mackay had was 58. Charlie's had, if I just quickly check here, he's had a 57, a 64, and an 81 in back-to-back years. That's just difference there. I just don't see a world in which you would take.
Please, Carlton, over. Trade him. Here in North Melbourne would like a forward that can jump. Please trade him.
Yeah.
Thoughts, lads? Sidewaysing Warner to Brayshaw. Ooh, Warner to Brayshaw. What's the Kai? I know I'm giving you all the Sydney questions today. What's up with Warner? Why is he being poopy?
Because he can't kick.
We need some help.
The last 2 weeks.
Jumped on him. Yeah.
He's had 19 touches. He's had 27 touches, 19 touches, 22 touches, and scored a combined, about 220 points in 3 weeks from almost 80 touches, 75 touches.
Mm-hmm.
That is horrific. And I think if I just quickly look at his ball use, you would find, I think it's been he had that obviously the 21% or whatever that they were going on about in the commentary the week after. But I think he's just missed a lot of goals as well. I think one of the games I saw there, he kicked 0 goals 3 as well. That doesn't help. We saw Max do that on the weekend and be stuck in the 60s for half of the third quarter. Or I think it was, or third quarter and second. But his last 3 games, he's gone at 52, last 4 games even, 57%, 52%, 21%, 64%. Yeah, it is just not there. And then also, I think his, just looking at his stats, it was not good. His contested possessions also down from most of the games he was getting. Like last year, he was getting like 15s and stuff like that. And it's now down at 10, 9, 8 and stuff like that. So, I would be looking. But then again, he's a forward. So you just know he's going to pop like a 95 and just be like not really valuable to trade almost in a way. but he's still priced at 478k. I think you can move him on to someone. I think a lot of us have an overload of forwards, so you can probably turn that into a midfielder if you have that extra sort of little bit of cash.
Isn't Chad getting cheap disposals and butchering it?
Yeah, I think he's getting uncontested ball and just butchering it, which that's the Sydney way at the moment. That's what Roberts was doing quite a lot as well. There was quite a lot of them doing it, and hopefully some of them start actually getting dropped because Sydney have players coming back.
No, fair. Sorry. No, because McCarthy form. Sorry. Thoughts on doing blah, blah, blah. McCarthy form. Look, you can do it.
Yep.
I don't mind it.
I would be doing that. That's what I was almost saying.
Do you think McCarthy ends up being the player that we want? Being like the primo, if not bench cover, really, really good. I got saved last year with Evans. I got saved last year with Lawson Humphreys as well. Do we think McCarthy becomes that?
I think he's going to go. I don't think he's going to go 100, 105. I think he's more going to land on that like 90 range and just be sort of. I think if we get lucky with it, because we've obviously got the flex, he could just help sort of, I guess, shore up, you would say, almost in a way, that bottom sort of 5-6 in the best 22 each week, and just being able to, because I think a lot of us as well through Campbell Gray will be also playing off another defender or something like that. So I think a lot of us will have effectively 24, 25 guys each week sort of playing. And I have a feeling when you start to get that, and you can knock up sort of early 90 scores in the week, etc., that potentially someone like just thinking about it, a Carroll or a Clark or a Johnson or a McCarthy, if you can get two of those guys to score 90 early on in the week, then it can be very, very just, I guess, easy to sort of not lose as much almost in a way.
I don't think we've had a player... I was going to say, I don't think we've had a player walk into the AFL and just have the best role in the AFL. Like, purely just, hey, you've got the skills. Your biggest problem in your position is not being able to run. Cool. You're a mature age player. Endurance doesn't matter because you're playing halfback. You've got decent enough ball skills. You're in the worst team in the AFL, so you know, hey, the positioning is going to be there and the ball's going to be in the spot. Outside of Harry Sheasel playing halfback at North Melbourne, taking kick-ins in his first year, Kai, I don't think we've seen anything better.
Yeah, we haven't, and I think that's the big issue this year, is that like we haven't had that guy at halfback from a rookie crop, so we're really almost like behind, I would say, almost about 200, 300k in terms of cash generation, just because a lot of especially like the sub, if you take out the sub, we'd all have much, much better sides. We'd all have pretty much finished sides, but obviously the sub stuff's us over. But I do think that is a point to be made, that like we had back-to-back years of Sheasel and, Dacos and Sheasel back-to-back. And then we also had Will in the midfield whereas Levi's been the only sort of guy really to do it, that a lot of us, that was sort of common. I know that Langford went off, but I think a lot of people didn't go to him because of the sub that he had in like week 1, which kind of stuffed everything up. Sid Draper has been sort of stuffed over as well. So like a lot of the top line guys have been midfielders that we haven't been able to really get access to because they've been subbed or subbed on. And then we haven't really had that sort of really good user of the ball at halfback. Like that was supposed to be Lindsay this year, and he just got stuck on a wing and then had some up and down scores. Like it's been really, really bad. And I think also just a lot of just changing of sides, like a lot of, I remember last year, I think it was Sydney went maybe 11 or 12 weeks with only using 25 guys, I want to say, and you had to name 23. And now this year we're just seeing like Essendon have debuting their 11th guy this year, and none of them have really actually done terribly well, other than what's about to be hopefully Johnson and Clark. Like we're not really seeing those rookies get to that 300k marker. They're all getting to that dreaded 170 to 190k range, and then just stopping, getting dropped, falling backwards.
Yeah. No, I get that. It's a tricky one. There you go. Huswaite or Sard out. Look, I think both are crap. At the moment, I don't think Huswaite's going to play again. Sard has the DPP. So if you can swing him between defense and the midfield alongside McCarthy, I think that definitely is something to consider. I think even just in general, if you can put him into the I would almost say keep him in the defense, go Hustwaite to McCarthy, and then you've got a good switch because we may get stuck later on in the season. I don't know. I will, looking at my team at the moment. I guess flex kind of saves things, but potentially having to loop like a McKercher into the midfield to not have an injury out. Max Holmes, similar as well. I know a few people had that last year when Harry Sheasel was out at point in times as well. So it may just be the way to go there. Always offload the most expensive one. Hustwaite will do nothing for us the rest of the year, unfortunately. It just sucks.
And if he gets named again, he could also stuff it and go backward.
Yeah. Well, he will.
Doesn't he have like a 70 break even? Yeah, he's got stuff break even.
He won't get there. He just won't.
Yeah, it'd be a miracle. It would be him in his VFL form to get there.
Does Campbell Gray have a time of coming back? Should I not be trading Campbell Gray this week?
I don't know if they've actually named when he's. No, I don't think they have. But I can do a Dr. Google and try and find it.
Let me check. Carlton, Essendon, Freo, Geelong, Richmond. Richmond's right down.
Let's see. Let's do a Dr. Google.
Campbell Gray, TBC. Now, obviously, he didn't play. Postural knee injury. Trying to check out what is.
Knee brace. Yeah, I don't think he's coming back this year. And if he does, it would be like round 21, 22.
I've never heard of a PKL.
Yeah, let me just see. I wonder if.
No, that sucks, man. He would have come back in like 2 weeks and actually played all right.
He would have come straight back in.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's unofficial. I wouldn't be surprised if he's unofficially out for the year at this point. Yeah. It looks to be because it sounds like from Dr. Google that he's in a knee brace for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Which knee brace for 3, he'd probably have other stuff for 2 to 3 weeks, and then he'd have conditioning for 2 weeks, and suddenly you're looking at round 22, round 23.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, mate, it's like I've got Cooper Simpson still going, trudging along here on the bench. I know he won't come back. Expected to come back around 2021. I don't think he'll be selected, but
it's like with Sydney as well. Logan McDonald will be physically fit by round 23, but he's not going to be match fit. So he might be fit enough to be sub in the grand final again.
I got a prediction for you. You would assume, right, that Gross comes back before Camporelli comes back?
Yeah, I would assume
yes,
that.
No? Yes, no?
Yeah.
Or yeah?
Yeah, I think so. I think Camporelli's getting beaten out by his brother, if I remember correctly, from the VFL.
Who plays first? Who plays their third game first? I mean, their fourth game, but who comes back to Supercoach first?
Tunstall,
Cooper Simpson,
Camporelli, and
Cooper Simpson, Camporelli, or Ben Patton? Who plays next? Yeah, to make a prediction.
Because you just know that Carlton. I'm just trying to think of like round 23 because I don't think Patton's probably getting delisted for this one. So let's put it that way. He looks like he's getting delisted. You've got Cooper Simpson. Will he physically be back by then? I don't think so. And then I'm thinking, does Camporelli even get a game? Like, because Carlton's probably going to be within a game of the 8 and probably vying for like finals. So he's probably not even going to get a game. I wouldn't be surprised if neither of them get a game throughout the rest of the year. Because
unfortunately, his brother is the better player,
and that's happened for 3 or 4 weeks now. I'm pretty sure, like straight.
Yeah. Not doing well, Big Lucas. You were the emergency, Lucas. He was the emergency, like 2 weeks ago, and just didn't get named. And then Ben.
Cooper Simpson 6 to 7 weeks. So that round 20, 21. So he might sneak
that's
the
what it
last
says.
game in. Yeah, he's probably going to sneak the last game in, I would think.
Yeah.
But they're going to be vying for finals as well. So I don't even know if he played. Like, will he be fit enough by then to be like back? And that's best case scenario almost.
It's not going to happen. As Frankie says here, our benches are poo-poo. Frankie, our benches are poo-poo. There you go. Slowly, I've kept plotters since the start of the year. It's not been what I wanted. But we do have Matt Carroll slowly trudging along, which is nice. McCarthy covering the position as well. And I think if you can finish your team with Clark in the back line, I don't think he gets dropped, even though last week was shit. I don't see Zach Johnson getting dropped from Essendon either. We may just have Clark, Carroll, Johnson, and McCarthy maybe as flex. So it's really the forward line rookies that are poo-poo more than anything else. Simpson will play. Ben was also graded better. Yep, similar to what's happening at Essendon, I think the Davey twins will go as well. So one was better than the other, and then both are gone. So we'll see what happens. He was just injured to start the year. Who would you trade this week? Gray or the look? I don't like that word pedophile, but I understand who you're talking about. My problem is Ivana. Hope you're doing well. I know that's probably not your real name. We've talked about Adelaide and Ben Keys. Pedlar plays Richmond next week and has a 40 break even. I think Gray would be the one to go. I don't think Pedlar will get dropped. He just wasn't great last week, even though he did some stuff. He does play Richmond round 16. So I think he's got a fairly strong, at least potential trade round 16, and then we'll see what happens after that. So, yeah. Clark's best score as a wing. He isn't a defender. There you go. I think that's all right. Not much else to talk about, fellas. Pedlar playing, Gray not. Yeah. And that's kind of my feeling with a lot of stuff is when a player's playing, cool. When they're not playing, not cool. That's that's basically the option and the way to go, especially at the moment with us having such maybe not you guys, but with us having limited trades as well.
Yep.
Offload the most catch that you can, and then figure out the rest from there. Really, so yeah, that's why Tom Gross's DPP is actually nice to have. Ben Patton DPP was nice to have as well. We may get a playing forward, things like that. Can Sydney win this week, Kai?
They're playing Port, which they haven't actually beaten Port at Adelaide Oval for like 8 years or something dumb like that. Might even be longer. They've only beaten Port once since 2016. And that was last year in the elimination final, I think it was, or qualify, or whatever the heck they call it to get into the grand final. It'll be interesting. If they name Goulden and Papley, which I'm expecting Goulden to play.
Have we lost Kai?
I don't know about Papley. Our injury alongside Jason Horne-Francis. That'll be like that'll be like two of their top 5 players just gone. So I could see Sydney running over the top, but then again, they have a horrific record against Port Adelaide. So hopefully they win because they keep their finals hopes alive. But we'll see about it, I guess.
Not fair. So Drew, there you go. How many goals will Mitch McGovern kick versus the Roos? Predictions, Kai?
Oh, I so wanted. I was watching the game while I was looking at the scores with mates at the game, just out, and I saw Mitch McGovern was beating West Coast, and I was just like, oh, the comedy goal that would have been there if he had a halfback intercept defender had outscored a whole team. That would have been a trivia question for like multiple years if he'd actually done that. But he's probably going to kick 2. And North Melbourne's probably going to kick like 10 or 11, so he's not going to get close to them. But that would have been the best if he had.
Fair enough. Heard earlier Pitnet in this week, Voss said we even need a second ruck. Yeah. I saw something on Twitter. Someone had mentioned it as well. We'll see what happens. I don't think it kills out my TDK plans. Unfortunately, Gawn just has too much money in himself to be able to do stuff. I mean, I can get 2 primos for max Gawn plus a couple of shitty rookies going. So it's not great. But yeah, it's just kind of how it works. I think, fellow. There you go. Maybe 5 more minutes, guys, if you've got any more questions for us. Otherwise, we'll head off. Bit of a quicker one today. But we do have the members live stream tomorrow and then the drive home again on Thursday. So, how are you finding these Thursday night games? Are you a fan?
Haven't the last 3 or 4 been absolute stinkers in terms of just the quality of the game, like low scoring and then just blowouts and stuff like that?
You can't pick that though.
Yeah, I just feel like they've had really poor sides on the games in general. They had who put Western Bulldogs and St Kilda and thought that's going to be a quality standalone game. Like, who thought that? Put that on a Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon when no one cares, because that is a horrific game. Like, they could have easily put the GWS Brisbane game on the Thursday night and everyone would have been like, oh, that's a great matchup. But of course they put basically a team that struggles to get into the 8 year on year alongside a team that consistently finishes 12th or 13th. And they thought, that's a quality Thursday matchup. The week before was actually a decent game, Bulldogs Hawks. Yep. The week before that, Bombers Essendon. I mean, Brisbane Essendon. Not the best, not the worst. And then the week before that as well, the week before that, they smashed it. So just keep putting Western Bulldogs pretty much on the Thursday night if they have a decent enough opponent, because it's going to be high scoring and it's going to be a really good game. But aside from that, and then the Friday night in that round, they decided we've had too much fun with the Western Bulldogs Geelong game in round 11. We're going to put Essendon versus Richmond.
There you go.
They just can't get it right, can they? Just put the good teams on the... I mean, it is hard because they do have to give the Richmonds and stuff like that. They need to give them... they need to give those teams 1 or 2 games a year.
Yeah.
But they always just have the absolute stinkers. Like, the only good time that Richmond would have been for, I think, would have been that first game of the year against Carlton, I think. Or who else would they have just run down? They would have had other games where they just ran down teams. But yeah, aside from that, even North Melbourne haven't really had... Well, they've had close-ish losses, but they're not... It's just hard, I think, to find a time to really put West Coast, St Kilda, Richmond and Essendon and North on Thursday, Friday night or primetime TV, because half the time you're just going to have a stinker from them.
I think in my opinion, majority of the time, not too bad. It's more just, hey, figuring out which teams are the best. I mean, we've seen some good teams perform poorly. Brisbane's games, Brisbane at home, hey, you think they'd be great, but they're just crappy. So it's not too bad. I think they're very adverse as well to putting Perth games out there at the same time as well. So a couple more questions. I just want to go over players that have scored well in the reserves as well. There are a couple who potentially could come back, so we'll see. Has Max left? Max is still here. He can have fun over there. But he has left the team. I'm just trying to figure out what I'm doing. If I force in a forward this week, or if I say, hey, stuff forwards and we just grab 2 mids. I'm not sure. Can we go back to Friday, Saturday, Sunday games with the occasional Monday? Look, I'd be happy to go back to having AFL just on blanket TV, to be honest, fellow. I think KO, Fox Sports and a couple of others have taken the majority of the streaming and taken a majority of the games. And it's made it very hard for people that don't want to spend $40 a month to actually watch the AFL. So it's not great. Is Mills 22nd, McCarthy 23rd, primo good enough with 5 trades. Try and get a cheap primo in a few weeks when rookies make some coin, don't get injuries. Look, I think it's okay. I may go down. It just depends if I want to forward in my team or not this week. I may go down to something similar and just ride McCarthy as flex for a few weeks and see what happens. It's just a bit rough. That's all it is, really. So, yeah, I don't mind it. I think you'll be okay. I just hope the other primos are really good. Like, if you don't have too many of McKercher, Shai Bolton, a few of these really cheapo guys, and you've got some quality like Ed Richards, maybe you've got a Zorko in the back line, a few of these other ones, Sinclair, for example, I think you're doing okay. I think the other way, though, if you've gone super cheap across every line and now you're going super cheap again, just final checking before we head off of the players who scored well this week in the VFL. Hopefully, we might get a bit of an indication of who may come back to our Supercoach teams. So, quickly checking. Doggies versus Frankston. Frankston obviously doesn't play. Doggies don't really have anyone. Buslinger did really well, though, so potentially he's going to be in there. I don't think there's anyone else, really, though. Probably no one that we've really seen. I mean, Nick Caulfield's not coming back. Scott's not coming back. McNeil's kind of kicked him out of a spot. Yeah, kind of a big half from them. Werribee versus Geelong, so only looking at Geelong. Sam Conway would have been great to pick up in your Supercoach team, but yeah, apparently they don't like Bruckman. So Jai Clark, I don't think is coming back. Mitch Nevitt, potentially, but I feel like he has cooked it. Yeah, Velo says here. How did Selwood go? 1 second.
Yeah, I think Geelong, I hope they don't do this, but I think there's a chance also that George Stevens could get a late debut, which would almost become pointless. Yeah. So that would be really annoying because that would almost put him at, he could have one game and then it'd be like, oh yeah, he's 200k, 220k for next year just because he has one unaided game.
Yeah, I hate that because it happened to Hardiman as well, and it happened to Ben Patton, and it happened to a few other people too.
Yeah, it also happened to Trezise, and then it stuffed him over for like 3 years.
Yeah.
That 180 game or something.
I've never seen, maybe they haven't given him a number yet, but I've never seen a player with number 0. Have you ever seen a player with 0?
No, that's just they haven't given him a number, and he'll probably be in the 50s.
Probably. Selwood for the Dogs. There you go. That game we've talked about. Everyone's face. So Sandringham versus Southport. Obviously, Sandringham being St Kilda. Everyone's favourite. Hugh Boxall may come back. At least he did quite well. 30 touches, 12 tackles.
It sounds like though they're going with Darcy Wilson, Philippou, and I think a couple other youngsters from the headline that I saw. I think they're bringing in 4 youngsters, so that could mean Boxall and Garcia come back in alongside him, because I don't think that they'd be dumb enough to put Ari Schoenmaker in that back line with Wangani, Malira, and Sinclair. But looks like Darcy Wilson at least is the guy that I know is coming back in, because I think he's just been getting some. I think he injured or something like that, because he sort of came on the scene and I haven't really noticed him in this year.
Darcy Wilson did okay, as you say. Couple of people here, Velo saying Boyd did not do well, unfortunately. He stunk it. 20 hit outs, which is okay, but obviously not what you want. I don't think he's ever coming back. Maybe the one hit wonder, 99k, almost played 3 games of Supercoach. I'm not sure how much Archer Reed. Let me just quickly do this. If you had started Reed over him, you would have made 100k. So, okay, it's not terrible, but it's not the best.
Oh yeah, it looks like Tyru is going to debut as well. That's one of it. So it was Philippou. So
another one that we get shafted with. Another one.
Yeah, Philippou, Tyru. And then Darcy Wilson and Yeah, it could also be a Boxall or Paddy Dow doesn't look like he would. So it should be Boxall, I think, will be the other guy potentially. So it's either 3 or 4 that'll come back in.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Heading over to the next game, North versus Port Melbourne. Lazaro would have gone massive. He does not like North Melbourne after we traded him. Sorry, after we delisted him. Will Phillips went big, not really Supercoach relevant. The one that I was looking at, Finbar Maley, did okay. Can't kick for shit, which is really disappointing. Had the option to kick a few more goals, but may come back. And then one in our forward line that I was hoping would do a lot better is Zach Branch. So kicked 3 last week, did really well. Only kicked the 1 this week. I didn't watch the game, so not sure exactly what happened, but yeah, it's a bit rough. And I think Braden George may get a late debut as well, which could stuff over his Supercoach for next year, as Kai said.
Yep.
Box Hill, obviously we don't have Hustwaite going big because Hustwaite played in the seniors and got like 3 touches. So Mackenzie is probably the one that will come in for Hustwaite. So expecting him to be dropped in 2 weeks. I think that's probably it. Really, potentially McGuinness as well.
Yeah, I don't think many I don't think someone like a Cody Anderson's going to get a debut or anything like that. Yeah, I just think that they've got a couple of too many sort of veterans back in the 2s that are going to come back in.
Casey versus Essendon, big players. Riley Bonner, not like he's Supercoach relevant, but could come back. Bailey Laurie, I don't think anyone's got him. Liam McMahon could come in with a debut soon. Has done very, very well over the last 2 weeks. Essendon could play more. Vicentini will play this week, though, so that will be another debut for them. Kai? That's probably about it, really. There's a few of these Essendon players. I think some of them kicked some pretty nasty goals. So, McMahon. And then Archer May, I don't even know where he's on the list. Did he not play? So, maybe North wasn't so crazy for not throwing everything at Archer May. McMahon did well.
He played in the Archer May played in the seniors.
Did he?
Yeah, he debuted because they talked about
Dermy.
Yes.
Like, sorry,
they
that's
talked
my
about Dermy for half an hour.
Yep. There you go. Yeah, you guys had him in your VFL team and didn't select him, and then obviously did well. Vigo's named. Yeah, pretty sure he's confirmed this week by the club. Maybe Goldie having a week off and then having the bye. May played seniors. There you go. So put my foot in that one. Last team before we head off. Dev Robb went massive. Not sure if anyone's got him in Supercoach, but he would be one that Eagles and a few other clubs should be saying, hey, come to my team.
He really stuffed over his career by not going 2 or 3 years ago and just playing VFL footy for that time.
There's a lot of players that are in that type of situation, though, that are like, hey, I could go over to this team and maybe not do, like, I might play every week, but the team's obviously in the pits. Or I stay at a Brisbane and then try and fight for my spot, and then my family and my friends might be here and everything like that. So
he must have just forgotten that the there's a thing called the AFL draft and the father-son rule.
Yep. And if your name's not Ashcroft or Marshall or Fletcher or anything, maybe there's a Black coming. I know there's a Hodge, like a Hodge coming in as well. It's it's a bit rough. So maybe he gets traded at the end of the year. Garitsky as well probably needs to leave from them because I don't think he's going to get.
Yeah, Derrickson as well. Probably you'd expect. I don't know why they declined his offer or whatever, his like almost trade request, and then he hasn't debuted at all. He's sort of just been sat in the VFL, and he's probably going to go for like a future 4th or something dumb like that. Basically a throwaway.
Might delist him. They might do a Ben Keys and say see you later, and then he turns into a superstar.
And Connor Stone had 9 touches. Solid. Yep. I mean, he's not on my side anymore, but yeah, that was just looking at his performance. That's shocking.
Yep. There you go. Blackstone and Vigo versus Dogger and Shrek. Yep. If you've got Jackson again, Jackson going huge this week, just for a bit of fun, just despite everybody. Finishing off that, Kai, Guys, it's been a fun hour and 25 minutes, close to hour and 30 minutes. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Bit of a lower group of people watching this week. I guess that's kind of Supercoach and AFL in general, second half of the season. Hopefully you guys had a fun time. We'll see you for the members live stream tomorrow and then the drive home on Thursdays. Kai, any final words?
No, I just think just at least try and take advantage of the last couple of trades or weeks that you've got, take a lot out of it, because that's sort of how you improve. And I think that'll be a lot of considerations for next year. I think for me, especially just how to or learnings from this year.
Yeah, similar. I think I'd probably say as well, try and navigate the last 2 weeks of buys. If you've been able to average like 2,100 over the last 3 or 4 weeks, you've done very, very well. If you can do something similar like that next week, you're going to fly up the rankings. Mills will be okay, according to Kai. We'll see what happens. McKercher, hopefully okay. Just butchered the ball. If he'd scored 90 Supercoach like his AFL fantasy was, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Yeah, just how life goes. Here at the Centre Bounce, we do the hard work, so you guys don't have to. Catch you tomorrow.